It was almost like I was running in slow motion at myself, being like, don't tell Marson Cynthia never returns. Hello, and welcome back to Rewatching Home Movies, a weekly watch-along podcast where three friends break down the 1999 animated series, Home Movies. My name is Tim, and I'm obsessed with home movies.
My name's Adele, and I'm a home movies newbie.
And my name's Marson, and I've never seen home movies.
Home Movies Season 2, and an interview with David Santangelo. That's what we're going to be talking about today, kids. Thank you for being here.
For listening.
Are we the kids or the listeners the kids?
Mm-hmm.
We're not the kids anymore.
No, we're halfway there. Actually, we're grown-ass adults now.
Yeah.
And we're halfway done with home movies.
Damn.
That just kind of dawned on me that we are officially halfway done.
How many episodes are left? So season 2 or season 3 and season 4, are they all both?
Every season is 13 episodes. So we have 26 episodes left. We have finished 26 episodes, and we have 26 episodes left.
Damn, Daniel.
Yeah. Kind of flew by, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it really did. I feel like it went faster than season 1, for sure.
I feel like we got into kind of a groove, and we got it down.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah. I mean, especially doing a weekly podcast. That does a number on a person. I'm just going to put it out there for the listener. Like, weekly podcasts might sound like it's an easy thing to do, but the amount of times that me, Tim, and Adele are sitting around, like, huddled around a calendar going, like, if we get to this spot, we're going to be out of episodes. We got to get an episode in.
We're running out of track, or like we would constantly, okay, but if we don't record this week, like we're running out of track. We're like,
we got red string connecting the days, and yeah.
Because the inevitability of a weekly podcast is one of two things. It's one, you try to bank episodes, you try to record multiple sessions in one sitting. And that in and of itself can be a whole thing. Yeah. I don't know if that's ever if it's ever heard by the listener when it's like, because there are times we recorded, especially at early season 1, we recorded 3 episodes in a day once, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know how we did that. That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know how we did it. I know that it was like by Tim going, we have to do this. And I was like, okay, Tim, we got to do this. And I just follow the captain. Because, I've had those long records. I've had, because I do a D&D podcast, I know how long records can go. But my favorite has always been, me coming over and spending a night at the thing. So we watch home movies, we record home movies, and then we just have a fun time. It's a nice little slumber party for me. But
hell yeah,
you can't do that every time. that starts to weigh on you.
And that can get a little rough too, but the inverse of it is to try to record weekly, which that has its own set of problems with scheduling and, we all have lives. We all have jobs. We all try to be social and have our time to do things we enjoy. So it could get very tough on either end of it with workloads and delegation. And I knew when we started this podcast that I was going to have to kind of take the role of the leader of the ship, as it were. I never wanted to feel like I was like a boss and cracking the whip on you guys and be like, okay, we have to do this. And so it's a very delicate balance, but we are through season 2 and we are now officially halfway done.
Yep.
Well said, boss.
Well, yeah. I will say sometimes you have to crack the whip. As someone who has led a few podcasts, sometimes you have to. So I've never been upset when Tim's like, we have to get an episode in this week or else we're fucked. which I'm I'm paraphrasing, of course, but a lot of people need that sometimes, and the way that Tim handles it is like as a leader, like an actual leader, where he's like sitting next to us, going through the trenches instead of being like, yeah, just get over here, come on, move it. And it's honestly been really fun, especially being a part of something that's well oiled and like going at a pace. It's been nice.
Well, we knew that we have some plans towards the end of this year, and we knew that this podcast could get in the way of those. So we definitely knew we had that expiration date, and so it kind of it makes it a little bit easier to say, okay, well, we're going to be done by this date, and we just got to keep rocking and rolling. It's been so much fun, and it's been a blast. It's been a lot of work. I am not going to lie about that. It's been a lot of work, and I very much appreciate both Marcin and Adele for having patience with me, but unfortunately, I have to say, like, definitely more so Adele, being my partner and fiance, and I don't say roommate like, oh, they were roommates, but we do live together, and we cohabitate, and we finding that kind of work-life balance I've been doing my best, but it definitely helps that Adele is very kind and patient towards me with everything with the podcast.
Yeah, I'm not the type of person to be like, but pay attention to me instead, this project you've been trying to do. But I mean, honestly, like, I just enjoy being a part of something that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Makes me happy. Keeps me going.
Yep. And I think we figured out the good work balance of, like, I do not go to the other room to edit or work on things. Like, we can kind of keep everything in the same room together, so that helps tremendously. So even if we're not physically like entertaining each other, we're still in the same room, and I'm able to check in and
right. I'm able to interrupt with my ADHD fun facts that I discover while scrolling.
Oh, that's the fun. That's the fun time.
I'm like, I am so sorry. Can I tell you this random fact about Egypt, and then you can just go right back to what you were doing? Okay, good.
It's like Clippy, but actually fun.
I've been having so much fun with the podcast so far. We've been getting very, very kind words and like very positive reviews, which makes me feel very good as well. I think it being about a TV show that's so niche and has such a wonderful community definitely helps. I fear if we had chosen a different show or niche or genre, I am not sure if the community would have been so nice. So I'm very happy that we decided upon home movies as the community to kind of latch onto and enjoy this kind of show with.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, seriously, much appreciated. I don't think I've ever mentioned this like on the podcast, but I've had stickers since like day one, basically. And it's actually the logo that we used for the first 5 episodes, the UPN 5. So it's like the very first iteration of our logo. And I have those on stickers, and ultimately I do plan on getting all the other logos we've used so far onto stickers as well. And I wish there was a less creepy way to offer these stickers to people, but I mean, ultimately it's like, if you really enjoy the podcast and you enjoy what we do, I'm more than happy to mail you some stickers. You just have to tell me where. And obviously, we're just 3 people. I'm not like selling emails or harvesting data or sending out massive things like.
Why aren't we harvesting data? Why can't we be the ones harvesting the data now? Why can't I sell my data?
How much are they getting for this shit? I want to cut. Sorry, you can edit that out.
You're fine. But yeah, I just want to express up top that I'm very happy with how the podcast has been going, the general reaction we've gotten, and all the interaction that I've gotten to have with listeners. So big shout out to everyone that listens, and especially anyone who's reached out either via email or left us a review or anything like that. Even a message to us, an email, whatever, just to let us know you listen and appreciate it means so much to us. Like, you guys have no idea. So it's that stuff that keeps me going sometimes.
I was going to say the logos, I didn't expect it to be as special as they are in my just because like the first one, I believe you two kind of hand drew your characters for the UPN5 logo, and then I attempted mine, and it was terrifying. So I asked my partner to draw me for the UPN5 logo, and they did a fantastic job. And I just really like that logo, especially with Tim holding a bag of weed. That one just makes it tickles me. And then for the, a fan reaching out and being like, hey, I want to make, I believe that was Tom, right? Who,
So, yeah, Tom Traeger reached out to us personally and was like, I have some fan art. And, I mean, he unsolicited made us some really cool fan art and then even offered to kind of do a refresh of our logo.
Yeah. The fan art was fun because Jason was on top of my head, and I was like, I didn't like at the time. I was like, why are you putting Jason on my head? But now it's just, oh, okay, that funny. But the second logo in general is also just fantastic. And then for season 2, you reaching out to Shannon and getting her to do the art meant a lot to me because it's very special. I actually the other day I finally reached out to her. I was like, I just want you to know, like, that was really, really cool that you did the art. So. Me personally, I really like album covers, just like movie posters, like those types of graphic design things. Like those are really cool to me, and I love the design aspect of those things. So seeing how the logo has evolved each season is really fun.
Absolutely. And we, a little sneak behind the curtain, we were on a call yesterday talking about what the logo for season 3 is going to look like.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that logo.
You guys have no idea. I'm so stoked. So the goal is I would love to have, by the time season 3 really starts kicking off, I would love to have all of our logos, including the season 3 one, available as stickers. I would like to have enough of them that the stickers would be available upon request. That if anybody wanted any, you just got to let me know where to send them. Or if I know you IRL, just let me know the next time we're going to see each other in person, and I will happily bring you as many stickers as I can.
I was telling Tim and Adele yesterday that I also just I had a pile of these stickers, and I put them on my locker at work, and then I just sometimes I see a pole in the city and I put it there, and I just walk on by, and then I see like 6 of them on my way to work every day. So that's
hell yeah,
it's really fun.
I love the pictures that you take of the sticker and where you put them.
Yeah.
It's a fun little thing. I feel like if anybody who's listening has a sticker and puts it somewhere and sends us a picture of it, that'd be pretty dope.
It sounds just a quick thing. We sell an album, like the album CDs for Season of the Cursed, and we sent one out to someone who bought it. And he was living in Estonia, and we're like, please just take a picture and send it. And he sent this beautiful, these buildings and this beautiful skyline with the Season of the Curse CD in the picture, and it was so dope.
That's dope.
That's so dope.
You'll have to show us that picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. I give out stickers for after comedy shows sometimes, and I remember I gave a little special request, oh yeah, definitely put these stickers up at a particular location that is maybe talked about in my comedy sets. And I remember someone was really, they definitely understood the assignment, because they're like, hey, here's a picture of your sticker in a men's urinal at that particular location you joke about. And, that made me feel really good.
Was that person on the call with us right now?
Is that person in the room with us right now?
My home away from home.
I personally found it hilarious.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And because our logo does evolve, I think continuing to make stickers of previous renditions of logos is the way to go. So, yeah, that pretty much covers the podcast itself. Besides season 2 in general, I think another thing we wanted to talk about was I got to do a second interview with somebody who works on home movies.
Yeah, you did.
Very specifically, David Sanangelo. Another example, I did the exact same thing with Chris. We reached out to David. He was so nice and so game. He's like, home movies, automatic, yes. Just let me know when and where. Like, when you just look up someone who works on home movies on IMDb, it's like, oh yeah, they were a storyboard artist, or they were an editor for a little. Everyone who worked on home movies, to me, seems like they had multiple hats. So, like, mid-conversation, David's like, yeah, you said storyboard artist, but, you know, I'm an illustrator, an animator, an editor, a storyboard artist. It was another example, like when I talked to Chris, where I'm like, yeah, this dude did some storyboards, he did this, and then one point in the conversation, he says, yeah, I named the band Scab, or I was the one that came up with Black Hole Brew. And I'm just like, oh my God, again. I have to be like, all right, Tim, calm down, be cool, be chill.
It feels like it's just a bunch of ingredients, and I really liked how, because I listened to the interview, how David was talking about the vibe and how everything was in-house, and there's like a room for the voice actors and the comedians coming in. There's a room for the animators and, you know, the writers and the whole conversation. So if you needed somebody, you just open a door and scream like, "Hey, what's going on over there? I have this idea." I think he said something along those lines. And I think that's the creative process I've always yearned for, is just like a big old, like, maybe not a building, but like a big old house where everyone's like working on the same thing and like helping. Like, we need all these ingredients. Everyone's throwing a piece of themselves into the pot and making something good. This is something that they believe in, something that they're passionate about, and just adding to the world and making it build and build and build. And I just really love how that vibe of the behind the scenes made the show so much more fun and charming.
I agree, and I also feel like, and Chris Georginas talked about this too, is that they were all kind of amateurs going into it. Like, they were all just like regular schmegular schmoes, just trying to draw and learn the program as they go, and like, I feel like that's so inspirational for just regular folks like us to just try and create something. It's not about having the best of the best or the most education or the most experience. It's just doing something that you're passionate about, making it, putting it out into the world, and whoever receives it, receives it.
Absolutely. Yeah, he described it as like, you know, they were punk rock learning their instruments as they recorded their songs. And that vibe, it's like I couldn't have asked. That's exactly what I wanted in this show. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. If he would have been like, man, it was such a sludge, and like we had a hard time getting through the day, and it was rough, and we were just fighting and arguing, and I would have been like, oh no. but it was like genuinely like, I think he even described it as the opposite of trauma bonding. Like, we bonded because of this amazing experience. And just the fact that it seemed like so many of them worked on this show and had that experience and then did other shows and was like, oh, shoot, they're not all like home movies was.
Yeah. Well, I think that also has to do with the fact that they were given so much creative freedom, you know, and he talks about how the animators didn't fuck with the sound, and the sound people didn't fuck with the animation. It was just whatever you want to do creatively, go for it. And that's why so much of them was implemented. And he's talking about like how all these inside jokes with him and his friends that are in the background. Like, I want to know what those inside jokes were. You know, I just want to know more.
Yeah.
There's so much to add with that. Just for the fact of the matter that they were talking about, we were all amateurs going in. No one knew what they were talking about or what they were doing. And that's the process everywhere. Everyone who wants to break into any industry always thinks that there's some like secret code you have to learn, the secret knowledge you have to jump in. And the truth of it, and it's something I suffer all the time, because I have this idea that I have to jump through all these hoops, but the real truth of the matter is that there is no truth anywhere, and no one knows what they're doing. And even in the interview, David was talking about how most of these people he met at parties, it's literally just networking with these people, and that's how it opens the door, is just by going out and forming a community with people, and everyone starts opening the doors for each other. And I think that's the thing we should really be teaching, is not that you have to know this thing, you have to have this certain program, you have to be like ultra great at everything. You really just need to be a good person that people like, and then you can, you know, doors will just start opening for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be about nepotism and sucking up to Big Brother. It should be about, community and the actual real people
Yeah.
in life.
Adele, I only have 2 hands, so why are you trying to make me clap like 1,000 people are here?
I'll clap with you. So 2 people can clap. I'll clap for myself. It's fine.
I think, with them being so hands off, it was like this perfect mixture of you've got this young group that are eager to learn and very artistic and very motivated. And also you have such time constraints that you really don't have the time to be breathing over people's shoulders and micromanaging and stuff like that. So I think the biggest takeaway from getting to actually talk to people who worked on home movies, well, first and foremost is just how amazing and genuine everyone I've gotten to talk to is. David and Chris both were the nicest dudes ever, and both were very encouraging. Yeah, any questions, please just reach out. If I don't know, I'll find someone who does. It's just amazing. But home movies is such a perfect example of your art doesn't have to be pixel perfect. It doesn't have to be S tier, TV ready, just top of the line quality. Your art, as long as it has your soul and purpose and intention behind it, it doesn't have to be this perfect thing. What makes home movies so charming is how simple it is. And I think if it was this overproduced, over-animated, pixel-perfect show, I don't think I would have found it as charming as I do.
Right. And I think the interviews with Chris and David, they both expressed kind of cringing at their animation style. It's Chris with the flag and David with something about the lines not matching up.
Yeah.
And you saying that that's the charm of it all, this show has been so much for so many people, and I think you were able to kind of give that comfort back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The show has done so much for you, and you were able to kind of tell the creators of the show, hey, just because you see a flaw in this, nobody else sees it. They just see the art.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's full circle, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
There's a quote by David Lynch: negativity is the enemy of creativity. And that just kind of, when you're negative about your art, it really takes away from your creative process. And other people, that is the art. It becomes part of the charm. It becomes part of the life that you're building. And as someone who really loves David Lynch, I think that quote goes hand in hand with what we're trying to say to the animators of the show. Is we love it not because it's perfect. We watch so many shows to this day right now that are just cut to the point where it's just so sterile, and it looks great, but there's no soul to it. And with the rise of AI on the horizon, the imperfections is what I yearn for. Is that little thumbprint that you see on work on a pottery is something that I want to see, is just that little element of humanity that has survived in the process. I really, really like that.
So also with the interview, since we're kind of talking about art in general, I did, very self-admittedly, I asked David and Chris very similar questions towards the end about what advice they would give to someone who's interested in getting into either art or illustration, animation, what have you. And I just found it very interesting because both of them gave very, very good and solid advice. Chris's advice came from kind of the aspect of, well, you can download these utilities and you can teach yourself to animate and you can illustrate and you draw again and do this. And then David's advice, I think, was more of almost the business end of it, finding and meeting like-minded people who are also pursuing the same types of avenues of either art or illustration or animation that you are, kind of finding the power numbers. And I just thought it was very interesting that they both had very good advice, but coming from two, I think, very different places of here's what you can do to kind of kickstart your journey And versus like, here's what you can do to get into a community that will help you and point you in the right direction if you need guidance and stuff like that. So I think both of those pieces of advice were very good, and probably applied together can really kind of, I think, have some potential to get your foot in the door to pursue some of this art as a valid career.
There's a God, I wish I remember the quote, because I think it's by Ira Glass. Do you know who that is?
I don't think so.
That sounds familiar.
It's a radio personality, and I forget the exact quote, but God, I posted about it, and this is a quote by Ira Glass. Nobody tells people who are beginners that all of us who do creative work, we get into it because we have good taste, but it's like there's a gap that for the first couple of years that you're making stuff, what you're making isn't so good. Okay, it's not that great. It's really not that great. It's trying to be good. It has ambition to be good, but it's not quite that good. But your taste, the thing that got you into the game in the first place, your taste is still killer. And your taste is good enough that you can tell that what you're making is kind of a disappointment to you. A lot of people never get past that phase. A lot of people at that point, they quit. And the thing I would just like to say to you with all my heart is that most everybody I know who does interesting creative work, they went through a phase of years where they had really good taste, and they could tell what they were making wasn't as good as what they wanted it to be. Everybody goes through that, and for you to go through it, if you're going through it right now, if you're just getting out of that phase, you got to know it's totally normal. And the most important possible thing you can do is do a lot of work, do a huge volume of work, put yourself on a deadline so that every week, every month, you're going to finish something. Because it's only by actually going through a volume of work that you're actually going to catch up and close that gap. And the work you're making will be as good as your ambitions. It takes a while. It's going to take you a while. It's normal to take a while. And you just have to fight your way through that.
That is an amazing quote. That's such a good quote. I've noticed that, especially when talking about like painting, and people are like, "Oh, I could never do that. I could never paint." And it's like, actually, literally everybody on this planet could paint. It's just you just gotta learn what tools work best for you and what techniques work best for you and your own style. And like she said, it's a process. And God, they put that perfectly. It's great. Yeah. I need that on a shirt, that whole thing.
No, exactly. And that's something that I struggled with, because when you have work on the internet, or like even in the case of home movies and the way that Chris Georginas and David Santangelo look at old works of theirs, where it's just, oh, I hate seeing this or I hate seeing that, blah, 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 blah. But like you're learning, like that was your process. You were learning to make something. And I kind of, I hate thinking back to my old gimmick-sodes on like YouTube, because I just think about how many different words I can use to describe those things. But like I care about them, and I'm glad that they exist because it allowed me to try. And that's the thing, is like the taste part. Like that you could do better. That it's just not what you want to do. Your taste is still killer, and that's the best advice I've ever been given as a creative.
I help run a comedy open mic, and there was a new comic who was coming around, and he was the kind of comic, he would do a set and then immediately at the end of the mic ask anyone who would talk to him, like, give me advice. What do you think? What did you think my set? Did you hear my set? And it was a comedian who's been in the game longer than I have, who finally told him, look, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I see your comedy. I see your style. I see everything. You're going to suck at stand-up comedy for about 4 years. If you're okay with that, if you still want to continue to pursue this, as long as you understand that you're not going to be good at this for probably at least 4 years, keep doing it. But if that bothers you, if that discourages you, maybe this isn't your thing. And it was honestly like some of the most real advice I've ever heard, because we all suck at first. And sometimes, some of us suck less or whatever, but we all suck at first.
Yeah.
I think it did take me about 4 years of doing stand-up comedy before things really started clicking for me, before I started realizing like how to really start stringing jokes together and putting together very good, coherent sets. And for some people, that's just too long. That's too long to suck. And the big thing is, I think we gotta push through the suck, especially when you're trying something new. If it's art, if it's, anything like that, you're probably gonna suck at first, and that's okay. That's okay. Everyone that you look up to that does that thing sucked at first.
Yeah.
But it was just their perseverance to push through it and continue to do it and learn to not suck.
One of my, I would say my podcast heroes, and I think, Tim, you definitely know who they are, but the McElroy brothers, they started the podcast, My Brother and Me, and for the first 100 episodes, and I went back and I watched all of their old stuff, even though they recommend don't, they started on a they started on a Rock Band mic. Like, that's how they used it. Like, a lot of podcasters started on Rock Band mics, and it's not even just that aspect of something. There's a story that I think about a lot, is something that happened to me. Is I've always known I wanted to be some sort of writer, some sort of storyteller. And I remember when I was a very young kid, I told my mom I wanted to be a writer. And she looked at me and she's like, "Are you sure? That takes years and years to get a book published." And I kept that in my mind because it was like, oh, it's going to take years and years. But then years and years pass and I have no book. And the real truth is, like, the years and years are going to pass. And
Yeah.
do you want a book by the end of it? Do you want to, like, suck less at comedy? Do you want to be a more ambitious painter? Like, that, those are the things I think about now. Is like, those years, they're gonna smash mouth. They just keep coming and coming and coming.
They're going to go regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they go fast. They go so fucking fast, dog.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, especially now.
Oh, it
You blink and 5 years has passed.
I remember going to my first open mic, and it feels like it was a few years ago. It was over 10 years ago.
I hate thinking about, like, it's been over 10 years since I've been in high school, but I think about it, and especially when I see, like, TikToks or thirst traps from, like, oh, I'm wearing fashion from 2014, like, it's nostalgic, and I freak the fuck out a little bit, and everyone's like, oh, I'm cooked, bro, I'm cooked. I'm like, say swag like a normal person.
Swag.
Gratata, come on, please. But it doesn't feel the same. Like, I close my eyes and I still think about when I was in 2020. It still feels like it's 2020 to me because of
Oh, absolutely.
how much shit was happening. And I know we're going on a big old tangent, but, like, that's my big advice, is just the years are going to keep coming. Do something that makes you happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
Absolutely. Just to kind of get us back into the podcast, but along the lines of tangents, season 2 is definitely the season I learned to embrace our tangents. I will give a personal little shout out to my good friend, and we've talked about him on the pod before, but my good buddy David. I'd call him by his last name, but I can't do that to him on the podcast.
Let's make a nickname for him.
He started getting into our podcast, and when he did, he was very nice to message me and let me know what he did enjoy about the podcast. And at the time, I was very in my head about our tangents. I was probably editing out our tangents more often than not. I had said something to David about that, and he's like, no. He's like, my tangents are one of my favorite parts of your podcast. And I think that's when he told us too, he's like, I could just hear you guys talk about anything. It's just coincidental that it's home movies, and I love that show. So thanks to David, I very much learned to embrace our tangents, and a 90-minute episode doesn't bother me like it did in season 1.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
I want to give a shout out to my good friend ADHD for.
I know her well.
I didn't know I had ADHD until like a year and a half ago because of my therapist. But then, like, all the tangents we would go through, it would just double down about all of these. And for me, who also makes podcasts with other ADHD people, I feel the pain. Oh boy, do I feel the pain. And it's always that.
Oh, you mean like 6-hour recording sessions?
Dude, and see, like, with Puzzle Valley, that's like, we're doing stuff. We're like, it's making the story go, and I appreciate that. And I also love the tangents too, because there's just some really funny moments that I need it. I need to keep it in because it makes me laugh so hard. But at the same time, I'm staring at this 2-hour-long runtime, and I'm only adding to it. And it's like I gotta cut something here. I gotta cut. So I feel your pain, Tim, and I appreciate you keeping in the funny parts.
I enjoy our tangents too. I do feel bad how many times even listening back to it while editing, I'm like, I swear I don't mean to sound like I'm frustrated or like over it or be like, anyway, then Paula decided like it's. But sometimes you just have to kind
You gotta
of
reel us in.
kind of keep the train. Yeah.
Sorry, Tim.
No, it's okay. I love it.
Anyway.
Anything else? Wait. Anything else about the interview that we wanted to touch on? I personally just think I listened back to it today, and I hadn't listened to it in a little while. But the fact that David was so kind and so, I was like, oh yeah, if I see a random background character, I'm gonna send him to you, and he's like, yes, do that. If I don't know who they are, I will find out.
Yeah.
And just like that is such a utility to have. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's like huge. So, but just David in general was so kind and so easy to talk to and was so appreciative of us and this podcast and kind of what we're doing to keep, home movies out there in the zeitgeist. So it felt really good talking to him.
Keeping the dream alive, I believe, is what was said.
I was so scared to send him that email in the first place because, I had to do some digging in order to find, his agent on online, and then I sent, an email to his agent, and his agent sent it to him, and then he sent back, a McGurk, meme, and he's like, absolutely, and that just made the enthusiasm from all these creators really shows you how wonderful an experience and working on this show was, and it's even better to me seeing how great the experience was for them and how it's touched not only the creators and the people working on it, but people like you, Tim, and people like your brother and everyone who's ever seen the show. And I've never seen the show. That's the whole thing. And seeing that and seeing the love that's out there makes me so happy for all these artists, and it gives me, I guess, hope that I could do the same thing with any of my work, and it makes it, I guess, a little bit more tangible, and I just really enjoyed that, and especially from the interview. Such a nice guy, such a creative person, and really enjoyed his story about his teacher when he was doing all this art, and she's like, why don't you try animation? He had already gone through all the art classes, and so she made up a class to allow him to continue working on art. And honestly, shout out to that teacher. These are the teachers that we need to encourage the passion that you can clearly see in a child. Shout out to whoever that person was, because God.
Yeah, and I feel like that's art teachers. I think that's a common thing for art teachers. They see that talent in a young child, and they'll do everything they can to blossom those talents. And to have an art teacher like that, I mean, if David didn't have such an encouraging art teacher, who knows if he even would have ended up in that field.
Yeah. The fact that she got a Disney program just for him to use for himself, that's insane. That must have been buku bucks, dude. That's crazy. Good for her.
I had a teacher, his name was, and he was the first person to encourage me to be a writer, and I won that year's Young Authors in his class, and he told me that I should be a writer. So when I finished, this might be sad, you can cut this if you want, if it's too sad. I finished Puzzle Valley, and I messaged him, and I was like, hey, just, you might not know who I am, you encouraged me, blah, 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 blah. I just wanted you to know that, here's a link to the trailer. Read. And nothing. Nothing back. Never did. And then...
Bring him here.
And then... you might have to bleep his name. I don't want people to fucking get at him. And then I was on Threads, and I posted a thing hey, I'm looking for voice actors for a thing I'm working on. And the dude replied to that. He didn't know who I was. But he's like, yeah, I'm interested.
Wow.
I'm like, all right, okay, how... Now what do I do here? How do I play this game?
Leave him on red. Leave him on red.
But all that aside, teachers go through I have 300 students, and a few years.
Oh, yeah.
So I completely understand. But we do need more encouraging teachers, and I'm so happy that David had a teacher like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I couldn't be happier with the interview. David was such a cool dude, so easy to talk to. So very happy that I had the opportunity to talk to him. And then, we'll see if I would like to keep with the trend of between seasons releasing an interview. So I'm very excited to see who we could possibly get to talk to us next.
I'm excited.
I'm also excited. I'm thinking about how I can, how we can possibly. I know he said he'd give you names to go for and contact. So I'm very interested in seeing how many, not how many, but like if there's anybody who's also this enthusiastic about just the celebration of this show that has like outlived so many other shows just on like 4 seasons.
Yeah. Well, I had a couple ideas of people who I'd love to talk to, and I will be honest, David did send me a few names, and one of the names was somebody who I had already been thinking about. So that's probably going to be the next person I reach out to. And I'm going to cross my fingers and hope and really hope that they are down to talk to us. So very excited about that. Now,
is it the guy who voices Archer?
Oh my God.
We'd all simultaneously shit our pants if that was the case.
I would do it, but I wouldn't tell anybody.
That would be a chaotic energy that would I would be both afraid and intrigued if I had the opportunity to talk to him. But yeah, who knows? Who knows what the future may bring? All I know is that we finished season 2, y'all.
Yes, we did.
That's crazy. What a great season.
Honestly.
I really like season 2.
Yeah.
A lot of heavy hitters, a lot of new people being introduced in season 2.
A lot of ups and downs.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. Weirdly, like, very Ken Adelberg heavy the first half, and then, like, Josie, he just disappears.
Right,
and
where was he? Where was he the second half?
That's a good question. Maybe they too many in the front end, and they're like, we got to pump the brakes a little bit. He's definitely coming back. I'm not going to spoil it like I did with Cynthia.
Oh, man. Holy shit. I would have sent some fan mail if I was a fan of this when it was coming out. The Ken Adelberg is such a... was it this season, the Save Some For Me ending? That has been so iconic in my eyes, the Save Some For Me ending, because that's kind of the staple of... That was so fucking out of nowhere. But I think as I think, was it Chris said, like, sometimes you just got to get out of there. Sometimes it's...
Yeah.
You got to end the show. You got to end the episode. I think that would probably be... I don't know if I would say it's my favorite thing about the season, but it's definitely a highlight that has stuck with me.
Yeah. Well, I think probably the first thing I think about fondly with this season, and maybe it's a little bittersweet for you, Marcin, but the fact that I knew we were going to address the season 1 finale, and we were going to meet Brendan's dad, but then simultaneously knowing that wasn't happening until the 7th episode of the season.
Yeah, I worry sometimes that, like the Cynthia episode, I might be a little too harsh on certain episodes because of the order or the lack of closure or this or that. But I stand by what I said. How the fuck are you going to end season 1 like that and then make me wait 7 episodes to say something? And then start the first episode with Thacker? Who are you, Thacker?
Thurman Thackeray.
Yeah, for real. And then we never see him again except for on a poster.
Runs for re-election in 2002.
They just put that shit on the walls just to make us know that they're, like, not dead, quotes.
Right. just like Eddie.
Eddie
is deady. And if he's not deady in the show, he's definitely dead by now.
Yeah.
Oh, so many classic lines in this season. The end of hiatus. Buddy.
I say that to my cats sometimes now.
Buddy. Well, the first episode with Mr. Lindenson, that was in season 2, right?
Mr. Lindenson's first episode? Yes.
Yeah,
I
because
believe
that's
so.
the line from Mr. Lindenson when he's like, "And that's your call." I say that all the time. And that's your call.
I try to say this, but I always mess it up and I butcher it when he's like, "Nope, not a bad joke. A badly timed joke."
A bad time for a joke. Yeah.
I butcher it every fucking time. I also was pretty harsh on the DVD player quote, but now that's also stuck in my head. I was talking to Nick because I have like a bunch of VHS tapes I want to watch, but a very tiny TV to watch them on. So I was like, I need a VHS player. And then I was looking at the PS4. I was like, and a DVD. DVD. Funny line.
That episode 2 with McGurk freaking out on Melissa. Like, hey, insomniacs. All you got to do to go to sleep.
Just go to sleep.
Poor Melissa.
Yeah.
I loved that in the interview where David was like, and then H. John Benjamin is there, and he's talking to Melissa, and then he just yells at Melissa because that's just funny to them. They just start yelling at each other.
And then I don't know if you guys know this, but when H. John Benjamin does the voice of Jason, he plugs his nose a little bit. That's how he gets that real Jason talk. And so, yeah, David's like, he'll lay into Melissa as McGurk and then just plug his nose and then just continue as Jason.
Melissa really gets the shit end of the stick every time.
She does. Justice for her.
Such a team player, too. The season finale where she dressed up as Brent. Oh, so good. Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad.
Yo, what's up, Mom? What's up, Dad?
She's like, no, it's over. No, we're not doing this. Okay, on the subject of Jason, he did a pretty good job this season.
I was going to say, your Jason grades got...
Yeah.
By the season finale, he got an A. I just re-listened to that
He's gotten a few A's. You know, I'll give him...
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on the A+. There's got to be an episode where he, like, really wins me over. And...
Well, like David said in the interview, Jason's just... He's not just snot. He's not just snot. There's a whole character with layers behind that snot.
You sleep naked? Why? I love it.
When we did the season recap last time, we did our favorite character and least favorite character of season 1. Do we want to do that again for season 2?
We definitely want to. Now I have to think about it. I got a least favorite for sure.
Same.
Yeah,
me too.
I think we.
That was the first one.
I wonder if all three of us have a least favorite, the same least favorite.
Probably.
Should we just say it on 3?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Linda.
Fenton.
Whoa!
What the fuck? Get out.
No,
I understand. Fenton is also a piece of shit.
And here's the thing. I feel, because I like Linda now. The first episode I saw her, I thought she was unimaginably toxic. I could not stand her. But then the therapy episode, I saw the cracks of her wanting, when she saw herself in the therapy and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed." She finally saw how toxic she was, and she started changing after that.
Yeah.
And I fully expected her to be a bridezilla. I fully expected that, but then she just wanted to get married, and she's laughing with her husband who made a joke about getting divorced. Like, this is a funny story to tell the divorce lawyers, and ha.
Yeah.
I think she had such a big jump in the evolution of her character that I can't hate her. I can't hate her as much as I would.
I can hate her. I can hate her because she took a picture of Brendan in his underwear.
Okay.
That's crossing a line, dude. I don't care how much therapy you've been to.
Yeah.
That's gross.
Fenton told his mother he didn't love her.
Fenton's a child. Fenton is a little child. Linda is a grown woman.
I will give it to Marcin that between therapy and the wedding, Linda did grow a lot. And the way she reacted at the wedding was a lot better than how she would have reacted probably had that happened before therapy. So I will give her that much. But yeah, still probably my least favorite character of this season. As annoying as Fenton is, and absolutely annoying and such a little shitty kid to his mom, McGurk yelling at him and then just being the punching bag for Walter and Perry.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yes. Anytime I see Fenton, I'm just like, oh, he might get bullied by Walter and Perry. Let's go.
Speaking of favorite character, I'm lumping Walter and Perry as one character, and that's my favorite.
I think they'd appreciate that you were lumping them together.
Yeah,
I don't think they'd like to go
100%.
separate.
No. Perry?
Walter, Perry. No, you're Perry. No, you're Perry.
Their scene in the church for the wedding episode for the season 2 finale. Oh my God, it gets me every time. He's like, I feel it here. Where are you pointing?
Yeah.
I just liked them during the writing competition or whatever, the Writers' Fest. I can't
Yeah.
remember. But we hate Fenton. Fenton sucks.
sucks. We hate Fenton. Fenton so much.
Hate. Fenton. Hate. But like the party episode, I did not enjoy. Like I think about all the episodes in season 2, and I would not want to rewatch the party scene. If someone was like, "Hey, we want to watch home movies," which episode? I'd probably just not want to watch the party one.
I feel that way about the first 2 episodes Linda was in.
Yeah,
Therapy.
Hey,
or dad in
fair.
therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you know that is fair. I will say those weren't like super enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
I remember looking at the episode where Dad and Linda are introduced and being like, I think in the next episode where they like sew up this, they could pull it out of the fire and make a better episode. They made a good episode, but they didn't make it as enjoyable because Linda was being Linda, but she was growing, and that's what I appreciated about that episode.
Yeah.
But they weren't as enjoyable as other episodes could be.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have to give a little bit of a shout out to a very specific episode this season, which is episode number 10, History, our first episode with a guest.
Hell yeah.
That is true.
And the first episode I personally have given an S rating to.
Oh, yeah.
That I forgot about that. It was good.
Yeah.
It was a good episode. That was a good episode.
Very good. Yeah. I think honorable mention goes to the jazz song because I genuinely enjoyed the jazz song. Jazz.
Yeah, classic. That was the beginning of Hiatus. Yes. Yes.
Which I thought the episode was really. I think that was the first episode where was that the first one I gave Jason an A? Was that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he played with Walter and Perry and like just kind of had fun and learned to love himself again.
Wasn't the first episode with Cynthia?
Yes.
It was?
Oh, it
believe
was.
so.
That's right.
Damn.
Damn.
Cynthia.
Just to get it out of the way, that is probably my least like that Fenton party and just the watching the Cynthia episode. I would say watching the Cynthia episode. What was that? What one was that? That was called.
Was it the last one with Cynthia?
It was
in
like
it?
I think it was episode 12.
Yeah, that was
Pizza Club.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Everything without Cynthia was very funny. I loved McGurk being like, "So you guys got some pizza over there? I also want to get some pizza. Maybe we can kind of like do it." Like that was super fun. I really liked Paula trying to get in on the home movies, and like also Paula just dressed up as a clown was just very fun. I really liked that. But just the Cynthia stuff, I get so secondhand embarrassment, and then everything with Cynthia when every time I'm just like, leave her alone. And then they did another episode with Cynthia after the storyline was over in Starboy, and he was alone. He's alone, thinking alone. Like So I think that between Pizza Club and what was it called? Fenton's The Party.
The
I'm
Party.
looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are probably my least favorite episodes of this season.
That's fair and valid.
Yeah.
Just looking at the episode list, I feel like I don't know, I feel like maybe Therapy was the one that I just probably didn't feel. Kind of was just like, towards. Class Trip, the episode after therapy, episode number 9, I enjoyed that one immensely. That was when they went to the hotel. McGurk started working at the coffee shop next door.
Listen, little mama.
Yeah.
That was a good one because it just came off of the Linda introduction
Yeah.
episode,
That's true.
so it was a very good palate cleanser episode.
Right.
I think that actually that's a good point. It came off of that, and then it was also I always enjoy Melissa and Brendan and Jason together as a group.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like a lot of the episodes they kind of go in separate directions a lot of the time, and so I really like that episode for them just like hanging out and trying to make a movie and their actual dynamic as friends. That was pretty good.
Was that the last episode in season 2 with Ken Adelberg in it?
I'm looking here. Writer's Block, no. Pizza Club. Yeah. Class Trip when he works at the hotel, I believe, is the last time we saw him this season.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, we saw his son in History.
Yes. Doesn't count.
Oh my
Correct.
God! How do I let it get this bad?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very happy to say that both of those characters are coming back,
Nice.
and I do like both of them.
I never thought I was gonna like them as much as I ended up liking them.
Yeah.
Did you guys say what your favorite characters were?
No, I was just trying to think about that because I was fighting with myself between my least favorite character, between Fenton and Mr. Lindenson. But Mr. Lindenson can actually be kind of fun
Yeah.
and funny, and Fenton is just
Yeah,
rotten,
Fenton's never
man.
made me laugh like Mr. Lindenson does.
Yeah. Might be a hot take. I'm going to say my favorite character this season is Mr. Lindenson.
Ah. He
Huh?
does have some very good quotes.
Huh?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. We are gathered here today to unite this couple. You betcha.
A filmmaker. Wow.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one.
I like how he talks to Brendan, even though he is ridiculous and kind of a dick. But like he there's a bit of respect there because he's like, this is a child, and I don't like control him. But whenever he's talking to Paula, I want to wring his fucking neck. You should leave her alone. She's trying her best.
Well, he's not her old boss. He's her old new boss.
Yeah, he is.
Paula, why'd you give him a kiss? He showed up at your house and got wasted and
Yeah.
almost pissed in the corner. When will you learn?
Paula.
I guess my favorite character this season, I think it's Mr. Lynch. Like, I was trying to think if there was any more characters introduced that I enjoyed. Stephanie is a very fun character, especially, at the wedding. I enjoyed her making McGurk super uncomfortable by just, like, being genuine. And
Poor
he's like, oh,
Stephanie.
God. Yeah. But Mr. Lynch this season, so good. So good. He's like, hey, here's your grade. Oh, there might be, hey, chin up, might be something in there. He's like tapping the desk.
Drum roll.
You failed. I'll see you after school.
Buddy.
Buddy.
Yeah, buddy. He had the walkathon episode was this season.
Yeah.
I think he was really good in that. I loved him in Class Trip. Yeah, History, he was really good.
I honestly, Mr. Lynch has turned into one of my favorite characters. I just really love. The buddy. I'll never get over that. That was the perfect end. Him being super, super respectful. We have to learn Spanish before we go to Mexico. You have to understand the culture. And he's like, what did he say when McGurk was like, what are they doing down in Mexico?
I don't remember.
It was something like, there is a gerbil in my nose, or...
There's a pig coming. What's happening down in Mexico? Cuts to McGurk sober, and then Lynch just like gone, just absolutely trash. And he's trying to speak Spanish. It's like the hotel we came from. I think Mr. Lynch is definitely my favorite character of the season.
Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah, classic. Did you say your favorite character for the season, Adele?
Yeah, I said Walter and Perry.
Yes, they are the entity of Walter and Perry.
Yeah.
The unit.
Yes.
You got to carry me over the threshold. Come on, carry me. Carry me over the threshold.
Perry! Perry!
Oh, Walter and Perry are they're so wholesome. I love them so much, and I'm vaguely thinking, I mean, I'm pretty sure the last episode we see Walter and Perry is the last episode of the series, so there's no worries that they're gonna pull a Cynthia and just run off into the sunset or anything. So
they're sticking around.
Yeah, they're here. They're here to stay.
You scared me. You scared me because you're like, that was them at the last, and I was like, like episode of the series. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Okay,
oh no, there's so many Walter and Perry quotes that we haven't even gotten to yet, and I feel like I say this so much, but you guys, I loved season 2. Especially going through it with you guys and being able to break it down and seeing the evolution of the show. Getting to talk to Chris and David and knowing that they were literally learning a whole new program just by doing it, and seeing like the charm knowing that. But I can't express how excited I am for season 3. You guys have no idea. Season 3 is, in so many people's opinions, the best season.
I'm excited. Only gets better from here.
Yeah.
In the interview when David was talking about season 3, I had to skip ahead because I didn't want to get spoiled. But there was 2 episode titles that I'm trying to eliminate from my head, so I'm not going to say them out loud, that they kept repeating. So I understand that it's a lot of people's favorite. I'm not worried about it, but like season 4 and season 3, I've been told are like peak home movies. Those are the seasons to enjoy, and that's why I'm a little worried, because I really just want to take my time with season 3, especially because of that. But seeing how fast season 2 just like went by, I really just want to enjoy it.
Yeah, and we will.
Yes, and especially looking back at the episodes in season 2, like identifying a body was how funny that was, and and I'm just thinking about which one was the one where McGurk was a soccer comic.
Oh shit, That's a good question. It was one of the earlier ones.
I think it was the
right?
very first one, Politics.
What
Was? Oh, he was. Honestly, if there wasn't that to be continued on season 1, I probably would have enjoyed Politics a lot more, because that was him being the soccer comic. Always, it still gets me.
I always liked how you were like, he was actually a good comic. I don't know what you're talking about, Tim.
He's got some good jokes. Look, he says my mom right there. It was funny. The concept of a comic, of a soccer comic, I think really kills me.
Yeah, that was episode 1. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That feels like so long ago, but yet
I know.
not long enough.
That was still one of my favorites. Was like, no, I like the comic, like soccer comic gimmick. And I'm like, yeah. What's your favorite soccer joke?
Got him.
Put it in the beginning of the episode, like you're holding up my head for everyone to see. Like I'm Medusa and you're Perseus.
I touched on this briefly, I think, in the interview with David, and it just kind of shows me like how much this show means to people, and for so many various reasons. But talking about a scene, Marcin, where the Starboy scene where Brendan's talking to the band and they're giving him advice, and from a filmmaker perspective, you're like, what are they doing? They're in post-production. Like, what, I would never look at it like that, but it's like the comedy was such a very specific thing for me. And I even remember like kind of having a mini freak out being like, he's trying to give advice to other comedians and he's never fucking done like that was just something yeah, that from my perspective, I'm like, dude, running bits when casual conversation, that shit drives me nuts. Like,
dude, that's kind of why I enjoy when we talk about some of the more risque or like straight up misogynist things that McGurk says, just because like it's clearly a mirror being shown up right there, but then also the like every other woman in my life.
Yeah.
or when Jason mistreats Melissa, of just like getting that different perspective of all of these different episodes from all three of our perspectives is just not only interesting, but if you hit the right nerve, it can be very funny. If you just hit the right one in the right area, very fun.
If you upset Adele just enough.
Oh no.
Well, Cynthia upset me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
McGurk has also upset me on many different occasions, and Mr. Lindenson especially has upset me.
And that's your call.
Yeah. It's so funny that we all have had things that have kind of set us off in one way or another. And honestly, I appreciate so much being able to revisit these episodes with Adele, because I would have never, gone into this with a woman's perspective. And now that I actually am, it's like, oh, ooh. I gotta, I don't know if this is a early 2000s thing or if this is just a misogyny thing.
Well, I'm glad you have that mindset, because I'm sure there are people out there who don't really care to hear my opinion, but that's fine. They're going to hear it anyway.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Let them fucking have. That's why sometimes you're like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm like, no, you should. Say it out loud.
Say
with
the
your
thing.
whole chest. Fucking kill them.
Sniped.
Just like the it was last season where the nurse showed up, where like McGurk and the nurse had a date, quote unquote, McGurk said. And then when she came back this time around and was just like not having any of McGurk shit, good. I love maybe not the evolution. I love that there's an actual story there and they don't just like wave it away like it's gone now. Unlike McGurk's tattoos.
I like to think he got it laser removed.
With
It's
what
cheated
money?
banana. That's fair.
With all of his soccer comic money.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Paul is always such an A-plus character, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that she was there for Linda and... God, what's his fucking name?
Andrew?
Andrew. And she's clearly still upset about the divorce between the two, between each other. And also, Paula's just going... That I think that was my favorite Paula joke. Was, don't worry, Brendan, we're fine. Just take those out to the recyclables. And it's like all of the alcohol she's consumed because she's so worried.
Oh, Paula. But she's got a job now in season 3.
Yeah.
My fallen angel.
God, I forgot about that. That was so good.
Yeah.
And it was you can hear it in the background of him saying it. Like, that's the thing that stuck with my fallen. I cannot believe I was attracted to
Me too. Me too. She has to be like, okay, I don't even know who you are. Like, I just met you. Oh, Paula is always an easy A-ranked character, as is Melissa. Melissa continues to be just one of the realest friends there is. Like, Melissa is always OG.
And let's not forget about Melissa's dad.
Yeah.
Was he wasn't in it much.
Not much. I think he had a couple episodes in season 2, but not too many.
I think he had one when he was helping out Paula try to get her a job. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's the only one. Damn. More Eric, please, in season 3. That's my only request.
Yeah. Bring in Eric. Bring him
He's
to
funny.
me.
Bring him here. I got some words.
Eric's in for the long haul. Don't worry about that.
I miss the dad jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I miss Principal Plum, too. I liked the dynamic she had with McGurk.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, did we give the overall season 1 a grade at the end of our season 1 recap?
We did.
I don't
but
think we did?
No, we did.
I don't remember.
Yeah. I cannot remember the grade I gave.
Same.
But I do remember we definitely graded it because I remember saying something along the lines of season 1 has the potential to be this, but I had to have just given it a B. I'm pretty sure I gave it a B or a B+.
Right. I think it was a lot of hesitancy to try to give season 1 a grade without knowing where we went from there.
Yeah.
Season 2, I feel like it's a little easier because, we have season 1 as a reference. And now we just got through season 2, no squiggle vision at all. That nice, clean kind of vector animation that is going to be throughout the rest of the show. I don't know. I was thinking about it, and season 2, I think, really kind of is setting the pace for what fans of home movies really how they kind of feel for this show. Again, season 3 and 4 are traditionally people's favorites, so 2 was that definite build-up. I think if I had to give 2 an overall grade, I think for me it would be like a very, very solid B+, because it's really kind of ramping up and setting the stage for this show that means so much to me.
I would have to agree with you, just because I know it's just going to get better from here. So I'm going to also give it a B+.
I had a great time with this season. I thought it was funny. There's a lot of humors. There's a lot of ups and downs. I don't know if I enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed season 1. I don't know if it was because I was coming in with a fresh pair of eyes and I was expecting so much, and like that first season end was just like such a like we're doing something here. We're not just like, this isn't, every other episodic show. I'd probably have to give, I don't know, I'm on the fence, because I'm pretty sure I gave the last season like a B+, B- or something like that, and I think I'd have to stay in that range. I think I'd give it a B, because I did enjoy season 1 more, and then season 2 felt so much more polished, yeah, but there was like, I don't know. I'm waiting for season 3. I think season 3 is going to be really good, especially from what everyone's told me. But like season 2, I don't know. I don't know what I expected, but I'm definitely not going to give that a bad grade because I didn't know what I wanted. I think I'd still give it a B. Yeah.
Well, I could see from your perspective specifically, you didn't know coming in that episode 7 was Dad. That was 6 episodes of you being like, so they're not going to address this. And the frustration, and then you got to meet Dad, and then you immediately met Linda, and then the Cynthia plots. And when I was editing the Pizza Club episode, I was like, it was almost like I was running in slow motion at myself, being like, don't tell Marcin Cynthia never returns. And then hearing me be like, so Cynthia's never coming back. And dude, seeing on the edit, literally you go, what? What? And then I just, oh my God. Yeah, I wanted to go back and be like, what are you doing?
No, I think I am very happy you told me, because that whole episode, I was like, I'm dealing with so much pain right now, like whether it's from like embarrassment or, Brendan's talking to Cynthia, and it's like so much build up for nothing. And I was expecting something from it when I should have gone in not expecting anything from it. But if I went in not expecting it to be actually like closure, I would have had the same reaction, where it ends on Brendan looking longingly at the edit, and then it hits this like jam music, like, oh yeah, we're coming back, don't worry about it, like coming of age, we're gonna close this up, and Cynthia like wins. I'm glad Cynthia doesn't come back, I'll say that, because I don't think I want to see another episode where Brendan and Cynthia have to like deal with their kid emotions. I'm glad that doesn't happen, but I'm also glad you told me, because it did affect my grade, because I was expecting there to be closure from it, and if there's no closure, why'd you just make me deal with all of these fucking this shit? You could have just left Cynthia at the Alone episode. Why is she back?
Because that's life, baby.
That's life. That's what people say.
But I get it. I get why maybe season 2 left a bad taste in your mouth, especially compared to season 1. We were young, we were fresh, we were just getting into the show. We had a whole 52 episodes ahead of us, and now we're middle aged. We're looking down the barrel of the last half, and I get it.
Yeah. I think you kind of like put it there perfect. I think especially when you're like you waited 6 episodes to have closure and then Linda's here, and I think that actually like you know what I think you hit the nail right on the head with that.
Yeah, there was a lot going on, but I think it was necessary to set up the last 2 seasons. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. Wheel? I mean, is there anything else that we wanted to add to the end of the season 2 recap?
Did we say our least favorite and favorite episodes? I think we also mentioned that in the last one.
Okay. I believe I mentioned that therapy was probably one of my least favorites for the season. And then I think that history being our first episode with a guest, that guest being my brother, my actual brother, and just kind of what the show means to us, my first S tier grade, I would probably give history this season's favorite, and therapy, I'd probably give therapy my least favorite of the season.
Okay. Well, obviously my least favorite is Pizza Club for reasons we've talked about, but I think my favorite is probably Hiatus. Because
That's what I was going to say.
That was a really good one.
It opens up with the jazz special.
Yeah.
It was just so like, here, watch this. And then everything with Jason. I think that was the first one I gave Jason like
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you gave Jason an A, and was that our first episode that all 3 of us gave it an A+?
No, the first one where we gave it all an A+ was the
Season
last
1
episode
finale.
of season 1, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I think Hiatus might have been the second one, because I remember us all very favorably grading Hiatus.
Yeah.
And I'm also just always tickled when Mr. Lynch and McGurk are together, and that was that episode became so iconic by its end. I think that was like my favorite end to a home movies episode ever. So it might change, but I still think Hiatus is my favorite.
Yeah, I would have to say Hiatus is my favorite as well. I'm having a hard time picking between the dad episode and the therapy episode as my least favorite, so I'm just going to lump them together because it's hard for me to decipher which Linda parts happened in what episode, so they're just the same entity to me.
I mean, they kind of go hand in hand because the dad episode is like, Linda's here, and I think the end of that... What was the end of that episode with Dad? How'd they end that?
At the zoo, probably.
Yeah, I think Brendan's saying that he doesn't want to do the zoo anymore because he's got a ton of zoo swag.
Yeah.
And, well, okay, no, the end of that episode, because we got McGurk doing the Big Brother thing. So we have a kind of save some for me ending with McGurk and Ken Adelberg. Remember, he calls Ken to get a new little brother?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, this one has no eyes. He's like, so he's blind? No, he just says he has no eyes.
That's when we saw that Jason is in the Big Brother program.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. I do remember that. He's like, I like you. You're a cool guy. Yeah.
I should not say that, but I like you.
Yeah.
A majority of that episode took place at the zoo.
That's right. And then the next episode is literally just kind of like it. I think it's a 2-parter. I would consist those 2 as a 2-parter. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I just can't. I can't get on the Linda train. I'm so sorry.
I get it.
Linda's your Jason. I understand.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a prediction. Nope, I'm not going to say anything. Never mind. I will not make the prediction. I'm not going to put it out there because if I put it out there, I think Marcin will be like, okay, fine. I won't do that then.
When we get off the Discord call, can you tell me the... Okay.
I think Tim looked behind him and saw editor Tim running at him in slow motion. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, kind of a little bit.
It's like an Interstellar. It's like, no!
It worked this time.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's going to pretty much do it for this episode, unless you guys got any last minute things to add.
Not that I can think of.
All right. Well, I guess like a traditional episode, we'll jump into those sweet, sweet plugs.
Plug me up.
It's a song now. All right, Marcin, why don't you go first?
I'm reaching into my bag of infinite projects here. Currently, I'm working on the sequel to my RPG podcast / audio drama. It is Puzzle Valley, is the first season. When Penny Popular's murder is recorded and sent to everyone through Snapchat, a group of teens uncover the mysteries of Puzzle Valley, the uncertainty of their future, and the secrets of those closest to them. The sequel series we're working on right now with Adele is part of it. It's a prequel set in the year 2000, and it's already looking to be one hell of a high school teen detective story. It might be too early to give away the story for that one, but as for the core of what Puzzle Valley stands for, it's about the masks other people put on us, the weight it carries, and finding the strength to take them off. Puzzle Valley means a lot to me, so if you want to listen to it, you can find it under the Eldritch Journeys banner wherever you find podcasts.
So sometimes I paint, sometimes I make things, and sometimes I post that on my Instagram, which is the Artisanal of Oddity. That is Artisanal of Oddity at www.instagram.com. And that's my plug.
And as always, this podcast is brought to you by the Happy Corner Podcast. They were nice enough to donate equipment to us so we could keep this podcast going. So we always want to give them a nice little shout out at the end. The Happy Corner Podcast streams every Sunday at 1:45 Central. And then you can get the audio version wherever you get your podcasts. That's going to do it for this episode and season of Rewatching Home Movies. Join us next week for Season 3, Episode 1, Shore Leave. If you liked what you heard, check out our Linktree at Linktree/RHMpod. There you can like, follow, and subscribe. Send us an email or leave us a 5-star review. I will read 5-star reviews on the podcast. Thanks to Chris Bongat for the use of our theme song, and Shannon Conway for the refresh of our logo. On behalf of myself, Tim, and my co-host Marcin, and Adele, thank you for rewatching home movies with us. We'll see you next week. Bye.